To end the half, Liverpool 1, Crystal Palace 0. That is exactly what we needed. First 20 minutes, I thought Liverpool came out, dominated possession, created a few opportunities. That one from Sadio into Mo, where the keeper comes out absolutely sound. Then the Firmino one to Mane, and Hennessy comes out and gets that one. Alisson's looking composed. Naby Keita looks the best midfielder in the world. But after about 25 minutes, Crystal Palace started to get into the game, didn't they? And it got a little bit scrappy and stuff towards the end of the half. But when Palace got into the game, we didn't really look like we were under the cosh too much, apart from obviously that boss shot from Andros Townsend. Nice one, Tom. Who, you know, hit the woodwork from about 30 yards, and it was a sloppy Keita pass. But just before that, he takes a ball off Alisson. I think I shouted like out it at the time, like Alisson plays the ball to Keita. Keita does the little Cruyff turn, goes past his man, drives forward about 20 yards, hoofs the ball over the top, perfectly timed run from Mo Salah, brings it down, and you just want him to left, right through the legs of the keeper or whatever. But he does go and try and dink the keeper. Unfortunately, it goes over the bar. But, you know, all told, I think I like the way Liverpool moving the ball left to right. It was clearly evident to me anyway that, you know, they were looking to move the ball quite pedestrian, actually, and I would have liked us to speed that up a little bit, just to tire Crystal Palace out more than anything else. But we've moved it over to the left-hand side, and then what you could see was, at the top of the screen, Milner bombing in to sort of in between Mane and Firmino, dragging a midfielder with him, and what that was doing was that was making a lot of space for Trent Alexander-Arnold, and then the ball would go over to Trent. There was a couple of times maybe a poor touch let him down, which is why we never went forwards. And then if someone starts to close him down, then we start to recycle possession. We're just constantly probing left to right. But what I'd like to see more of, and we did it a couple of times during the game, get into the centre, get in between those lines. They're obviously playing a 4-4-2, but it's quite a high line with a deep midfield almost. And what that means is there's only about 10 yards of space in between the lines. And what you really want is someone like a Mane to be able to just get into that space, or a Milner or a Keita, something like that. But they're making it very difficult. Two midfielders are obviously coming back in quite well, covering that space off. That's where we're looking for the 1-2s. And unfortunately, that's the hardest part in football, isn't it? Playing 1-2s in those little tiny areas of space. And, you know, Sky Sports are now just replaying the penalty. For me, it was a definite penalty. I mean, Mamadou Sakho has a couple of bites at Mo Salah. Nice ball into feet from Roberto Firmino on the edge of the area. Couple of bites at him, and he goes down. And yes, he does tumble into the other defender. Yeah, because he's just been kicked twice. And then James Milner, we're all wondering who is going to take the penalty. It was pretty obvious, I suppose, that it was going to be James Milner. He slots it, bottom right, probably gives Hennessy the eyes. Perfect way to end the half. You've got Crystal Palace fuming about decisions, and you've got James Milner just having off players left, right and centre. All in all, it was a really good first half. I'm going to get into some of the comments now. So that Naby turn, says Callum Daisley. Yes. Latimer 28, he tried to break Millie's legs, and he did. You know, that's a bad sort of scissor kick, wasn't it, from Van Aanholt, was it? I think it was. Picked up a yellow card for it, and the referee didn't look like he was going to give that as even a free kick to begin with. And then the assistant referee, linesman, let's call him a linesman, is basically stepped up there and actually done something about it. So back into the comments, let's have a look. LA Football, thank you so much for the blue super chat, much appreciated. Junior Luna, is it a new camera? No, it's my phone. Technically, I suppose it is. We're trying to walk it in, says I'm Revenant. And I think sometimes we are being a little bit slow and a little bit deliberate. I'd like to see us, you know, move that ball a little bit faster. I'm probably in the same boat as you, to be honest. I want to see us try and tire Crystal Palace out, and it's a strange one, isn't it? With 8 days rest, you wouldn't expect that from a Liverpool side, but sometimes you're just feeling each other out. I mean, at the time when we were dominating possession, we were moving the ball quite slowly. Equally, Crystal Palace hadn't had an attack, so we weren't really 100% sure what they were going to be able to offer and what they were going to do. I think it's probably quite evident now after seeing the last 20 minutes of the half that what they're looking for is those balls into the channels for maybe Zaha, Andros Townsend to run into, even sometimes Christian Benteke. There was a one-on-one situation between Benteke and Virgil van Dijk, and Virgil van Dijk just stood up and wait for reinforcements, and that's actually what you want to do in those situations. You don't want to dive in and leave yourself a man down almost with a guy running into you, but Virgil van Dijk's just absolutely class, isn't he? I've got no connection for any more comments, so apologies. We'll try and get that connection back. Oh, that ball by Naby Keita, they're just replaying it now on Sky and stuff. It was a poor ball, wasn't it, that ends up with Townsend, thanks Tom, hitting that bar. Chris, do you think Fabinho will even get in this first 11, says Kyle Wilson? I do. I think Klopp spoke on NBC just before the game, actually, about how Fabinho just isn't involved because it's a squad decision. You know, it's nothing to do with an injury. It's nothing to do with anything else. Right now, we're not looking like we need Fabinho. It's not the type of game that you'd expect to see a DM like Fabinho in. So why use him? There'll be plenty of games. Liverpool will be contesting 4 trophies this season. There are plenty of games where we'll get to see Fabinho. Mane or Milner, like, what the fuck? These two are boss, aren't they? Absolutely love them. These scrappy games we need to win, said Prashant Baragi.
Someone said before this might be a game for Sturridge.
Ooh, Sturridge. It could be, actually, but do you know what I'd prefer to see other than Sturridge? And I'll give my reasons as to why. Shaqiri. Because of what I was talking about before, that little sort of 10 yards of space in between the defence and the midfield, I want someone to get into that space. Sturridge will obviously lead the line. And maybe you're look to do that as well. I think at the moment, though, we're absolutely fine. Crystal Palace are probably going to give it another 15 minutes before they start to come out of their shell a little bit. I think if we get to 60 minutes and we're 1-0 up, that's when Palace will start to come out of their shell, maybe make a substitution, maybe try and bring the game to Liverpool. And that's probably when Jurgen Klopp will counter and when Jurgen Klopp will then look to try and get that second goal. Right now, it's about keeping the ball, keeping it tight. 10, 15 minutes. We're sound in this game. Crystal Palace are a good side. They can hit us on the break. We've seen them looking very, very dangerous. But right now, we're in the driving seat. And let's hope we can keep in that seat all the way to 3 points at the end of the game. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the second half. Let's hope Liverpool can bring back those 3 points.